This speaker has been recorded at a meeting of Addictive Eaters Anonymous. For more information, visit our website www.aeainfo.org.
I believe I was born with this disease because from an early age, it's not even about the eating for me. It's about how I felt about myself and how I felt like I didn't know how to do life and I was going to end up in a loony bin one day. I was a very self-conscious child, and as I got older, I had to cover up for how I felt on the inside, because on the inside, I felt really insecure. But on the outside, I presented a really good front, especially as I got older. I presented really confidently and competently, and I was basically Miss Career Woman, Miss Independent, and Miss Opinionated. And that was how I presented to the world until that all came crumbling down in my mid-20s because I had a nervous breakdown, whereupon I wasn't able to continue to present that way and I wasn't able to function as I had been up until that point. And I was diagnosed eventually with a depressive disorder. And I was encouraged to take antidepressants by my GP. I didn't want to do that, but I didn't have a better idea. And this is just the way this disease of addictive eating manifested in me. I can tell you about my eating story, but it was inconsequential, actually. It was the second half of step one that is the main way this disease manifested in me. Nervous breakdown, depressive disorder, diagnosis, becoming a client of the mental health system, desperately trying to work out what is wrong with me and why my life has taken this path. And I learn about dysfunctional families, and I learn about addiction, and I learn that I'm the adult child of a alcoholic family, and that kind of explains why my life has taken this path, because my father was an alcoholic. And so my journey of recovery started with being invited to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, which I thought was a very strange invitation to extend to a nice woman like myself. But I didn't have a reason to say no, so I go along. And the person that invited me saw me drink once. He didn't see me drink to an excess, but he could see the disease in me. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, I meet people who are in recovery from food addiction. And the seed is planted. My eating has been like my drinking in many ways. And I just know that I belong in this fellowship as well as Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm not happy about that. So I basically do my best to avoid it for as long as I possibly can, which entails more eating and more trying to do it my own way. I used to go on at my AA sponsor about how I didn't need to belong in this fellowship. And she would say, people that don't have a problem don't go on about whether they do or don't have a problem. And she encouraged me finally to either decide to come or to not come. So I begrudgingly agreed to come. And that was to one meeting, but somebody at that meeting said that they were a rigid thinker, and I couldn't believe you would say that out loud. So I just stayed away for another few months, but I kept going on about whether I've got a problem or not. So then I was encouraged to come to 6 meetings. At the end of that 6 meetings, I thought, I can see you've got a solution, but I'm not as bad as you, and I just can't imagine going to the lengths that you go to. So I stay away for another 3 months, and that's just what it takes. More eating, more trying to do recovery my way. My sponsor didn't used to ring me up, but she rang me up this time and said, I was a year without having a drink or pills. How does it feel to be, I think she said, sober? And I said, I felt like saying it's a pits. And I knew it was because of the food. I knew it was because I was still in the food. And so I was able to make that decision that living in the solution had to be better than living in the problem, because I could see I could see in the people who were in the rooms before me that they had a good life. They were happy within themselves. They knew they'd found the solution, and there was no way that they were going to try and indoctrinate me or convince me. But if I wanted help, all I needed to do was ask for it, and they would fall over backwards and help me. So I made that decision that living in the solution had to be better than living in the problem. But what I didn't tell anybody, and I know many of you have heard this before, but what I didn't tell anybody was I was only going to do it for as long as it took to prove that it didn't work for me. Because then in my mad thinking was that I'd be able to do what I want to do, which is eat what I want when I want and run my own life. But the same voice said, Di, that's what you've been doing all these years. You've been eating what you want, when you want, and running your own life. So I was able to admit to myself, well, actually, I can't do that. It doesn't work for me. So when my sponsor suggested I get off the fence and close the back door, much to my amazement, I thought that would be a really good idea. I would have thought that my reaction to her saying that would have been, how dare you speak to me like that? But it wasn't. So if I had to finish my sharing now, I would finish there by saying that's what I've done. And that's what's happened. Just gotten off the fence and closed the back door. And I think I've got a bit longer. So I just need to share how lovely it is to be here with my sister in Toronto and family. It's 8 years, I think, since I've made this trip. So my nephew's now 25. When he was 18, he came over to New Zealand. Both of them came over when they were 18. I was able to take them on a hiking trip. And this is all recovery. This is all the rewards of recovery. I couldn't even go to work. I was unemployable for 7 or 8 years. I had my little psychiatric admission, had to pay for the privilege. That's where this disease took me, or more to the point, my parents paid for most of it. I'm on holiday, so of course I'm happy, joyous and free. I have a very good life. I don't want the food. I'm very happy with the meals I have. I heard that I needed to stop eating just like an alcoholic stops drinking, and that made sense to me, and it was explained to me how that happened. And I started doing that despite myself. I was told I wouldn't know myself in a few years, and I really like the sound of that. It's an action program, which I also really love, because it doesn't matter what my attitude is or what I think about whatever's been suggested. All it matters is that I actually take the action. I never would have been able to keep coming if it had been a case of I had to like you or I had to think what you had to say was a good idea. I wouldn't have been able to keep coming because it didn't look like where I wanted to end up in life. But yeah, just put your bum on the seat. And I know that we've got someone new here. So I hope that, that is what will happen, that you will keep coming. I know what's wrong with me, and I know I found the solution. Thank God. I was 37 when I came in, and I'm quite a bit older than that now. I don't have to look for the solution. I know what the solution is, and I'm not cured of this disease. So I like coming to my meetings. I need to come to meetings. I feel a part of, feel a member of the human race. I love the fact that we all live in different parts of the world, but we're just a phone call away or a Zoom meeting away. I like being in the rooms or when someone new comes in, because if nobody was in the room when I turned up, what would have happened? I'm going to stop and leave it there, but thank you very much for the opportunity to speak and share my story.